Up next, the Cannabis Reporter Radio Show with Snowden Bishop. After this message.
Most people don't realize that cannabis is serious business that requires serious technology solutions. Hi, I'm Terry from Sunstate Technology Group, where we are seriously proud to provide technology and security systems that help cannabis companies compete and succeed. From planning and expansion to hardware and daily IT support, I'm here to tell you that having the right technology is critical to security and smooth business operations. Partner with a technology team that understands the unique needs of this industry. For details, visit sunstatetech.com/cannabis. sunstatetech.com/cannabis.
And now, it's time for the Cannabis Reporter Radio Show with Snowden Bishop. Listen in as Snowden interviews cannabis industry pioneers, marijuana experts, policymakers, medical practitioners, patients, and other amazing individuals with compelling stories to share. It all happens right now. Here's the Cannabis Reporter, Snowden Bishop.
Hi, and welcome back to the Cannabis Reporter Radio Show. I'm Snowden Bishop. Thank you for joining us. This has been a somber weekend, and I'd be remiss if I didn't start out by expressing deepest condolences for everyone who has suffered losses due to the mass shootings in Texas and Ohio and California and New York last week. Like so many people, I've got deep ties to all of those states and in fact have lived not far from where these incidents took place. But I also feel deeply for those who have been traumatized by the other 250 senseless acts of domestic terrorism just this year. There just are no words. But suffice it to say that we are living in uncertain times with more division than I've ever experienced in my lifetime. There really is no excuse for the intolerance that is ripping our country apart. We are all equal in the eyes of our Creator, and we are all entitled to equal rights under the law by virtue of just being here. It's in our Constitution. I pray that each and every one of you takes a moment to embrace your loved ones and let them know how much you treasure them. And then turn to a stranger and let them know you value their existence, regardless of their ethnic origins, the language they speak, the religion they practice, or who they love. And if we can stay focused on what actually unites us and celebrate our diversity, then perhaps we can end the madness and start the healing process. I look forward to that day. I'm also looking forward to the show, so let's get started. They say an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. That is especially true in the rapidly evolving cannabis industry. Unlike businesses in other sectors, cannabis companies have unique challenges, and due to legal ambiguities of operating in this industry, they've been grossly underserved when it comes to highly regulated services like banking and insurance. In short, until recently, most banks and major insurers wouldn't cater to businesses operating in a federally illegal commodity. As more and more states moved to legalize cannabis, service providers began to realize their failure to accommodate the emerging industry would shut them out of a potentially lucrative client base. Thus, things began to change, and on the client side of the equation, the industry has grown from a fringe, marginally legal practice area to a legitimate and highly competitive sector of our economy. If you go by the golden rule, the cannabis industry has proven to be a cash cow, and as the saying goes, he with the gold makes the rules. In other words, stakeholders now have leverage to attract regulated service providers and investors that once shied away from the cannabis industry. Today, new and established cannabis enterprises are facing more and more competition to secure market share and attract enough talent to meet the growing demand of a growing consumer base. They also face greater risks, which require scalable insurance solutions that protect stakeholders from liabilities that are unique to this industry and provide security for their workforce. These protections also help to attract and retain talented employees in this competitive landscape and are also quite attractive for investors. I find it fascinating, and it's an aspect of the industry that I have yet to learn about, so I thought I'd shake things up a bit this week. If you've been on our site lately, you might have noticed that we have presented a Pro Series version of the show. Full disclosure, this is a sponsored program that provides a platform for industry stakeholders to educate others about their fields of expertise. The purpose of having a sponsored Pro Series is to support our educational mission to raise awareness about the incredible journey we call the cannabis movement. That said, we recently hosted two executives from HUB International, which is one of the few major insurance brokers that has developed a full-service vertical providing an array of policies that are uniquely designed for cannabis companies in the U.S., Canada, and around the world. I never thought much about insurance in the cannabis industry until I met our guests. Two executives from HUB International, which is one of the few major insurance brokers that has developed a full-service vertical providing an array of policies specifically for cannabis companies in the U.S., Canada, and around the world. Later on this hour, you will meet Patrick Ryder, who works with industry stakeholders on the professional liability side of the business as Vice President of HUB Colorado. But first, I'd like to bring in TJ Frost. He's a practice leader who essentially created the cannabis vertical for HUB International to provide large and small companies with customized policies that are designed to work around the challenges cannabis enterprises face. TJ has a unique understanding about the regulatory landscape of the cannabis industry and how best to advise clients on risk services, claims management, and compliance support. He has amassed a vast network of experts and carriers that serve the cannabis industry specifically. And what I find most compelling about TJ is his passion for the sector. It was actually born from personal loss, which inspired him to serve as an unrelenting advocate to help cannabis companies navigate the complexities of insuring their businesses against unexpected losses. TJ, I've been looking forward to speaking with you, so thank you so much for joining me.
No, thanks for having me. Looking forward to the conversation.
Thank you so much for being here. So I'd really love to hear in your own words how you began working in the cannabis industry with HUB International.
Yeah, so it's actually kind of I think it's a good story, but sad but good story. So I came to HUB in 2015, right after my father lost his battle to cancer. My wife and I were getting married and we were planning kids, and I was in a career that was working 70, 80 hours a week, and it wasn't really suited for a family life. So I had a good friend over at HUB, and he's like, you should come over and talk to us. And watching my father battle cancer with opiates, and then transferred to, cannabis and medicating himself with cannabis and CBD versus opiates, I became a proponent and a big advocate for that. So when I came to HUB, it was an easy transition as long as they would allow me to participate in the cannabis field. And locally in Seattle, that was the case. So it was great. It was a fantastic start. Of course, my wife is like a first grade teacher. She's like, so you're going to insure cannabis? I don't know about this. And but we took it, and we've been doing it since I came on board in 2015. It's been fantastic. So with our practice, in 2017, HUB really participated at a high level and said that we were going to insure the cannabis space in the U.S. And in 2018, we made an international vertical, and now we're just rocking and rolling. It's a blast.
I'm so sorry to hear about your father, but I'm glad that he was able to find comfort with cannabis. That is a big issue. But I'm glad you found this space because I think it is very important. And I'm also glad to hear that you were able to find a company that was amenable to entering the industry, because this is a challenge, I think, for industries that are regulated, especially like banking and insurance industries like that. So what about in the rest of the world? Because I know that you insure people all over the world, but are you doing anything in cannabis, like say in Europe or Australia?
Yeah, so I currently insure in 33 states and 7 countries. Personally.
Oh, and what are those countries?
Yeah, Colombia, Deutschland, Germany, Canada, of course, Jamaica. Those are the ones off the top of my head.
Excellent. Okay. And then what were some of the challenges being in the insurance industry to working in this space?
I mean, for HUB alone, the challenge was really, we're the sixth largest broker in the world, and to publicly announce that we were doing cannabis, we had to have a good following and a good background, and Hub has that story. And when Lloyd's pulled out of the marketplace in 2014, it really shocked the industry, and there wasn't a program out there that was to the standards. And Hub saw, an industry that was struggling and wanted to participate in it and see what we could do. And we really did. And, our conversations are at a carrier level and an underwriting level, but also on a client facing level. As we're the broker for the industry, we're able to play both sides. I typically call myself a referee because I'm in the middle of a carrier versus our client, and we do what's best for our client. So it's fantastic that we do have Hub's backing in this.
How many carriers are there that actually will insure the cannabis industry?
That's a great question. Daily we're getting more and more involved. I get calls all day long and every week about, hey, how's this looking? Do you think we should get into this field? I had a meeting earlier today with a carrier that was thinking about getting into the D&O space when they do general liability. And so right now in total, we're probably about 26 to 28 carriers. But that's ever changing. Some unfortunately stick their toe in the water and it doesn't work out. And then some have been doing it for 3, 4, or 5 years. And, we're really trying to paint a broader picture and more of a holistic approach versus have someone come into the space for, 6 months to a year and they're like, nope, we're out. You know what I mean? And we saw that with Lloyd's, and we don't want that to happen.
Of course. It is an emerging industry, and so there are regulatory constraints that are different in each state. So how do you deal with that in terms of dealing with your clients? I mean, what do you advise them about the insurance needs, and are there differences in the states as the laws vary in different states?
Yeah, of course it varies state by state. I mean, since cannabis is not federally legal and it's legal at a state level, each state is in control of, say, their own
Regulatory constraints?
Regulatory constraints, exactly, right? And so, some states mandatory general liability and product liability, while other states are just general liability, and then the limits as well. Some states you have to be with an admitted carrier. Well, there's not a lot of admitted carriers out there. So there are some restraints, but nothing that's crippled the industry or withheld growth, in my opinion. It is, like you said, it's a growing industry. And so these policies are growing, of course, as well. And, it's just being with an expert brokerage or agent that can help you expand that knowledge at the carrier level.
So are there any limitations as to what you can cover in terms of loss prevention? I mean, are there any restrictions that would bar you from insuring certain losses?
So there's always misconceptions and myths about coverage in our point of view. And, we'll have client meetings and they'll say, well, I can't get outdoor crop coverage. Well, that's not true. Someone told them that, well, I can do outdoor crop. We can do workers' comp. We can do product liability. We can do product withdrawal. There's not an issue or a line, let's say, or risk that we can't insure against. Of course, if the federal government comes in and seizes our product, we can't insure against the federal government. But that's the same with the toy store manufacturer. If the federal government comes in and takes all the toys, they're not going to get them back, and you can't insure against that loss as well. So it's the same. Is there premium differences? It's all in the eye of the beholder, really.
You read my mind because I was thinking about that. There always is that risk that the federal government could make a law change that'll completely debilitate the industry. So those are losses that really can't be insured even in other industries, right?
Right, exactly right. I mean, and if we were concerned about that at any level, obviously we wouldn't be in this space and in the industry. But obviously we see in the forecast that it will be legal at a federal level. The states are doing a fantastic job monitoring it, and we're looking forward to some big changes coming up.
Yeah, I think that this industry has so much potential, and it looks like within the next couple of years there will be some major changes at the federal level. So I'm wondering, what is the first thing you tell someone when they come to you and say, I've had trouble getting insurance for my grow and I really need to have coverage? What is the first thing you explain to people? What are some of the pitfalls and some of the things that they can look forward to by choosing your company?
Yeah, what we want to do is we want to take it as a consultative approach, and we want to learn more about their business. I get, yeah, I'm a grower. Okay, well, tell me more. What does that mean?